So, Michael, have you got any horror stories about tenants trashing the place?
Yes,
and
horror stories.
Horror stories, because people that aren't in property always hear the horror stories and go, oh, that's not for me.
Yeah, they do. And I think the media amplifies that. I mean, every second night, the shows like Current Affair and whatnot have got a story about some, tenant that trashed a home and whatnot. And I think most importantly, I'd like to just say that it is such a small percentage of all tenancies that go down that path.
Right.
I mean, obviously, it's important to have a good landlord insurance policy in place that protects you in that worst case scenario. And even more importantly, to some respects, having a good property manager that is highly experienced and really selects the right tenant for your property. I mean, obviously, anyone's circumstances in life can change at any time, and things can go down the wrong pathway at times, but it's about minimising your risk exposure. And I think having a good property manager and a good landlord insurance policy gives you that coverage that you need. But it really is, realistically, it's such a small percentage of...
surprises me.
And that's one of the main reasons why we don't specifically charge a fee for representing clients at SACAT or the tribunal or for managing insurance claims, because we're confident in our tenant selection process that in the rare instance that would occur, we're happy to represent you at no additional charge, apart from the government, lodgement fees, which I think is just under $100 for lodging an application to SACAT now. That's the way we show confidence in to our clients as well, to say, look, you can back us because we're confident in our process in finding the right people. It's such a small percentage, and I think the other thing is the media never reports on the 99% of good outcomes. Yeah, they'll tell you about that tiny 1% because that's what gets viewers. It gets people interested. It sort of amplifies that fear aspect, the drama. But if you speak to a good property manager, they can give you the real, data on how things really go, and it genuinely is a very small percentage.
Well, that really surprises me, but it's good to know. So, potential landlords, the key is to get a good property manager.
Absolutely. And look, there are still a lot of private landlords out there that, obviously they're not skilled in the way that we are about managing tenancies and finding the right people. They don't have access to the right, reference checking systems and all of those processes. So they, a lot of the high risk ones in most cases are your private landlords. A lot of those ones you do see.
Yes.
In the media and whatnot are often private landlords that are managing their own property.
Their own property, right. Yes, because I do remember seeing someone on, I think it was Current Affair or one of those, and you had the Peeping Tom landlord.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that one.
I do remember seeing that.
And I thought, wow, how freaky would that be to, to have? Have you ever come across someone like that?
Oh, look, we've certainly come across landlords that overstep the mark in terms of accessing the property. You have some that might have some fruit trees they want to access in the backyard, and they're just sort of helping themselves driving onto the property, or they want to check on the pool. Occasionally we do have to educate the landlord on what is permitted and what's not. It's very rare once again, but look, I've been in the game for a long time, so I've seen all types of situations in that regard. But it does happen.
Yeah, I just remember that just popped in my head, and I went, as I think it was a single female that was renting the property at the time, so that's even more sort of scary for her, So
and I know we spoke earlier about the legislation. I won't get into that now, but a lot lot of these new rules that have come in, I believe, have been brought in due to some of the outcomes that have occurred from privately managed residential properties where landlords are managing their own properties. So everyone else is kind of suffering as a result of a small percentage of people that have chosen to manage their properties in a certain way.
It's always the way in any industry, to be honest. So, the small make it so hard for the many. So the idea is really a property is you've got to look at it. It's not a business business according to the ATO, but you've got to run it like it is a business and sort of separate that and get the right quality of advice. It's like doing your taxes. You know, you can do it yourself. And if it's simple and easy, all well and good. But if there's some complications and there's rules now for property managers, you know, you really need to seek out a professional and pay that fee to protect yourself, really, and your assets and your wealth that you've built up.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, you can go to these tribunals and you walk out of there limping, you know, so...
Yeah, it's certainly a possibility, and it's, there's so much to consider.
So much to consider.
On those aspects.
Exactly. It's like anything in life, really. You know, at the end of the day, you pay for what you get. So if you don't pay anything, you get pay peanuts, you get monkeys, don't you? So, all right. Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming on today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome,
good
Kathy.
Insight into property, which changes this year have been a lot for a lot of people to take on if they don't have advice like you get from Turners, one of the biggest rent rolls in Adelaide. Amazing. Clearly, there are others that provide this advice as well, but you really have the resources behind you to deliver and to provide quality of advice, which is ideal. So in this day and age, people need that quality of advice. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Kathy. Much appreciated.